What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Cdpodcast. This is episode 4 for TokuTacoTomodachis episode 2 and Super Mega Force episode 3.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah. We just had a pretty long discussion about TokuTacoTomodachis and Super Mega Force. There's going to be some stuff at the end that I feel people are going to disagree with me on, but just... if you're an older fan, I think you might know what I'm talking about, and I think you might be feeling the same frustrations that I'm feeling with Super Mega Force.
The tangent is worth a listen.
It is, and it's always, if you have something to say, if you disagree, go ahead and leave in the comments. I will respond, and it won't be a confrontational thing. We'll just talk. And who knows, maybe we might invite you onto the next CD podcast.
We love hearing from you guys.
Yeah.
Seriously.
We have a couple of really awesome fans.
Really awesome.
I should pull up to give them a shout out. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull up. Give me a second. I'm going to shout out these guys because they're awesome.
They're wonderful. And it's so great that there are people out there these days that actually take the time to not only listen to our podcast, but to comment and, get involved.
Yeah. So, Jonah Armitage, is that how you say your last name? I hope I'm saying that right. We just want to say thanks for the love, dude. Go check out his channel. I don't know if he has any videos posted, but, send him a comment or something. He's been pretty consistent commenting on us. Lance Martin, thanks for the comment. He was talking about the first episode. We were talking about Go Buster. He commented, and then we had this really long, really good comment on our second podcast, which doesn't seem to be appearing right now. I don't know what's up with YouTube. Okay, here it is. BR and Bat Productions. Go read his comment. I guarantee you guys will agree with everything he said. He's just voicing some complaints about Super Mega Force. So, thanks for the love, guys. Go check those dudes out, and enjoy the show. So, Russia Sentai TokuTacoTomodachis episode 2.
Episode dos.
What did you think?
I was totally... What?
I was saying, we didn't get Cock Rocket, because, I know, we're a week behind for people who are listening that don't know. It's just that we feel like it gives everybody who wants to watch the episode we're going to be talking about enough time to watch it before we spoil the shit out of it. So we decided to just kind of be late a week, just for, I guess, spoilers' sake. So we didn't watch Cock Rocket episode this week. That's next week.
Yep. Though I really, really did want to see that. We saw pictures.
We did see pictures. Oh my god, they were everywhere. I couldn't go to Tumblr, I couldn't go to, Facebook or anything like that. Anything that was centered around the Power Ranger or the Super Sentai fandom, I could not go to because it was all about the Cock Rocket.
See, and you got your dick jokes all done with early.
Yeah. Well, I knew it was going to, because the way it transforms, you can just tell that is going to be an unfortunate consequence of that particular train transformation. I think it's pretty funny that Toei is... It almost seems like they just don't give a shit this season. They're just running with it. They're like, okay, you guys fucking want to talk about train cock? We'll give you train cock.
It's imagination. This season's, truly geared towards children, so I feel like it's almost like, they won't care. Yeah, it's whatever. They're kids.
Anyway, we're already, we're 2 minutes into it, and we're already derailed. Huh? See what
Nice one. Yeah. Much like Green's mask, the train, train tracks.
I thought that was funny, especially when he's like, "Oh, my tracks," and he pushes them back up.
That was hilarious. Does Green wear glasses?
No.
Okay.
See, that's the weird thing, because Green's usually... Oh, no, that was when Blue switched to Green.
Was it?
Yeah, that was after the color change.
Okay, so Blue has glasses.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It was simulating his glasses.
Yeah.
That's why I thought of that. I was like, why would the train tracks slope down? Glasses. His glasses fall down and push him back up.
I thought it was pretty funny.
So
Like, I seriously, there was a couple of parts in this episode that I just laughed. I mean, obviously we were watching it together, so I couldn't be like, all like out in front of everyone, but the stuff
out in front of me.
Well, yeah, out in front of you. I didn't want to. I'm cool. I didn't want to embarrass myself.
Oh, okay.
But the two parts that made me laugh, I'm pretty sure you can guess the second one. But the first one was his railroad tracks falling off. I just thought it was adorable, and I laughed. But can you guess what the second part was?
The end part where the swords get cut off.
Exactly. Where they're on top of the train and they're fighting, and all of a sudden they just go into a tunnel and his swords go pink. And it's just like, because it was super intense up until that point.
And then everything just goes silent.
Exactly.
The delivery of that was so underwhelming that it was hilarious. You didn't overplay that moment at all.
All we needed was somebody just to laugh, like a laugh track to go with that episode. I take back all of the initial shit I was talking about TokuTacoTomodachis, because we've only watched 2 episodes, and I'm having a blast with it. As unfortunate as the Megazord is, or Tokyo, I am still really having fun with it.
Is there the intention for Tokyo to sound like Tokyo, or is that just...
Oh. I never even made that connection till just now.
I made it because of how you said Tokyo.
Tokyo?
Yeah, you sounded like... Yeah, you sound like you're saying Tokyo.
Oh, I don't know, maybe. Maybe it is supposed to sound like that. Oh, what else did we get this week? We also got the theme song. The intro and the theme. For which I fucking rock to.
They didn't have... They had the theme last week.
Did they?
Yep.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm positive.
I don't remember. I don't remember the intro.
I didn't have the lyrics. I didn't get to sing along with it. That's why I remember it was there, because I didn't get to sing.
Maybe it's my ADD, but I must not have been paying attention last week to the beginning of it, because I don't remember the theme song.
I don't know. Go back and listen to our podcast, and maybe you said something about it, because I remember the theme song.
Well, I remember showing you the leaked version of the theme song a couple of weeks ago, but I never actually listened to it. The reason why I showed you is because you usually do the covers on your channel, on your YouTube channel, youtube.com/chuichi150.
Mm-hmm.
You want to check it out. She does Super Sentai theme covers and dance videos. But that's the reason why I sent it to you, was so you can like. But this was before it was even official that was the theme song. That I decided to send to you so you can learn the lyrics to speed up your cover version of the song.
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, I don't know, it's my first time remembering the theme song. But I don't know, it could have totally played last week, but you know me when we watch videos.
You forget.
It's not that I forget, it's just I'm always doing like 3 other things.
That was meant to be a joke. You forget, because we forget things. And...
Oh, because that's a recurring theme on our podcast? Is the fact that we just forget everything?
Well, we just turn into kids and start using our imagination. And
No,
we
but
can't remember because we're almost dead.
Sorry, I'm trying to keep us on track.
I am on track
because the TokuTacoTomodachis. This is gonna fucking confuse me. Like the entire time we do this podcast, every time I'm gonna try to say TokuTacoTomodachis, I'm gonna say Toku, just TokuTacoTomodachis. But the TokuTacoTomodachis part of our podcast isn't the main part, so I don't want to like get off on crazy tangents where we're talking for 30 minutes about TokuTacoTomodachis.
Well, what I want to say about TokuTacoTomodachis is that immediately they had me immersed in the story. Within maybe 60 seconds, I was just glued to what was going on. It was because of the cliffhanger last episode, which was the fact that they were as good as dead is the words that they were using in the translation. And it turns out...
Those translations we're using, I don't know if they're... I don't know. They seem kind of suspect to me.
I feel like there's a lot that's lost in translation. And...
Like, I don't know who does these translations, but they're all kind of wonky.
Yeah. I just really, really like the story they've got going on. You know, it's...
So are we still in the dark about whether they're dead or not?
No.
Or are they dead?
Well, at the end of the episode, that was the kicker. That's how they left it off, and they're going to do this the entire season, I guarantee it.
So we're not going to figure out that they're... Maybe they're not dead. Maybe just they're...
That's what... Because they said, you know, oh, well, we're from a city that had been taken over by the Shadow Line and perished, and the ticket says you're wrong, and the guy says you're right.
Is that his name? Is Ticket?
The little puppet.
The little
yeah.
monkey? The monkey thing?
Ticket. That's his name.
Okay. They kept saying Ticket, and I didn't know what they were talking about.
We were introduced to Miss Wagon this
Miss
episode.
Wagon.
I think that's her name. That's what they translated it to. Or...
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If you guys have like official names for right or right though.
Yeah, is it right though?
In the translation, it's like the direction right, or if you're correct, they spell it R-I-G-H-T.
But that doesn't sound correct.
No, I think it's raito, which is R-A-I-T-O, because that's how I see it sometimes, like in J-Fusion or you know when just reading shit about them. So I'm thinking the translator is just he's hearing right and he's just writing right instead of raito. But I feel like his is screwed up. Miss Wagons might be screwed up. And there are a couple of other ones, but it just seems like they're off a little bit, if that makes sense. I mean, anybody who watches subs know. Like, when you're trying to read and watch at the same time, sometimes you'll read a word that doesn't really match the expressions of the actors. So you're kind of like, is that right? That seems kind of weird. So it's like that. It's like these translations come out so fast that they're, I don't know, about 80% most of the time.
And oftentimes, even when we're watching official subs, they'll leave out things.
Yeah.
Like, the other day we were watching an anime called Golden Time on Crunchyroll. And they said, there was a girl that said hentai like 3 or 4 times. Not probably just 3. In a little conversation, but they left it out except for once.
Yeah.
And
that's because you know at that point, you know what she's saying.
Yeah, but, you know, like, she was much more serious than what the subs portrayed. And it's little things like that, you know, it happens in official and the non-official subs too. So it's just the nature of other languages and not being able to understand them.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, sorry, tangent.
No, you're good. It's good that you're talking. This way, I don't get yelled at by people who watch it for talking all the time. Like we did with Mega Time.
Right, so...
We got a couple of key, I guess, reveals this week. Right? Or am I wrong?
Reveals?
Yeah, like...
Of?
They introduced a new Resha, if you caught that. Did you catch that?
No.
Okay,
I mean, I probably did, but you're going to have to remind me.
So, Tokyo 1, Raito, used the Scope Resha today. It was like that brown Resha. And I know the Scope Resha is compatible with Tokyo through the toy version. So I'm wondering if he's going to be like an armament piece for the Big Mac. I'm pretty sure it was the first time we saw that new villain, the steampunk-looking villain with the top hat. He looks like an old school...
They showed Schwartz last episode.
No, not General Schwartz. The guy with the old doctor mask. Kind of looked like a bird face. He was the one that Schwartz was talking to.
Uh-huh.
And that's the first time I remember seeing him. He had that big top hat with like steampunk goggles and shit.
Did you catch his name?
I did not.
I thought we'd seen him. Anyway, so new villain.
New villain, which I love the fucking villains of this show.
They look so cool.
I love just the overall design of fucking everything that they've done for the Shadow Line. The way the Shadow Line works, the way it looks on screen, the way the villains look on screen, the way the crows look. All of them.
You figured out that those are crows, not crows. Like black crows. Like the bird.
They just look so cool. They're probably some of the coolest looking grunts that I've ever seen in a Sentai series. Of ever, like all time. They're just so fucking cool looking.
I like their hats. That's why they're so cool. They have hats on. Like, genius.
And then the sequence of the two dueling on the trains, it was like total Deno style, where the trains were all flying through the air and shit. Like, that was fun. This whole episode is just full of just cool moments.
The train duel was very suspenseful. Especially when Raito fell, and Hikari caught him with the train because he was driving it. And there's a car alarm in the background.
What the hell? Is that on my side?
Yeah.
I can't tell because I have both my headphones in.
It's definitely from your side.
Oh my god, shut up.
I thought it was a train at first because we're talking about them. I thought it might be over here because there's a train nearby my house, actually. You can hear it some nights.
Oh my god, it's so loud. We're trying to record a podcast. So anyway, what were we talking about before the damn car alarm went off? For 20 minutes? Stupid thing.
The dueling trains. I was saying that I was trying to say that it was very suspenseful, and I think that was my favorite part.
That there's like a real sense of suspense to it.
And they mentioned that Raito says to Hikari, kind of, that, you can see how this is going to end, right? You can imagine it. We're both imagining the same thing. And they both acknowledge that. Hikari acknowledges that. And so then they press forward, because, Raito was gonna fall off the train. He had it by his hand, and then he all of a sudden flips up. And that's when the bridge kind of overpass comes up and the guy's swords get cut off. It's because the two of them together imagine that without even actually saying it.
I didn't even get that from it. I didn't realize that they had made it happen because they were imagining it happening.
They did. That was all them. That was Hikari and Right. Right, whatever his name is.
I just thought, I don't know, it's a Power Rangers show. Or it's a Sentai show. I thought it was just one of those things where it's like they lose for a little bit, then they win.
No, they imagined that. That was all that. How am I the kid? That was all them. I do that.
You do that?
No, I've done that with friends. Like when we were kids, like younger, when we would play around, we would bounce ideas off of each other, and one kid would be like, would say something, oh, there's a monster, it's got big googly eyes, and then somebody jumps in and be like, yeah, and it's huge and black, and like somebody starts, supporting the other person's idea when neither of them have actually spoken about it. It's like that kind of phenomenon, except a little different with more connection because it's Sentai and they're doing it for a greater good. And they're not playing a game, and they're not imagining a monster. They're trying to defeat someone who's doing bad.
Mm-hmm. So
I just got a little choked up right there. Sorry.
So overall, what do you think of the episode? Do you think it's... it's only episode 2, so we can't really judge it too harshly. Because, we did that with Go Buster, and supposedly Go Buster ended really well. So, it only took fucking 30 episodes.
You're talking about judging when I'm just totally in love with TokuTacoTomodachis.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, do you feel like the show is going in the right direction? Because for me, it was a complete surprise. I didn't think it was going to be as good as it is.
I love this show. Like, stay on this line. I will ride this train.
Oh, the puns. The puns are so heavy today.
Yeah, I will ride this train until the end of the line,
I feel like it's gonna... I really want to just watch the 3rd episode already, even though it's not subbed yet. But I guess I'll just wait. I'm just having fun, like... And I thought... I need to go back and watch Kyoruger, because... I felt like I was really going to love Kyoruger. I just never actually got a chance to watch it. And a lot of the stuff I have seen on TokuTacoTomodachis, or on Kyoruger, I really did enjoy. So I want to go watch that season to see how well the story progressed. Because I'm assuming it's the same team that's on TokuTacoTomodachis as it was on Kyoruger, because I didn't read anything otherwise. So I'm hoping it's just, they're riding this wave of success, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They were handed this very, I'll be honest, a very lame gimmick for me. Because I'm not a train enthusiast. So this lame theme they got, I feel like they're really turning it into something that I, as a non-train enthusiast, can appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you're into trains at all, this is going to strike some kind of chord with you. But for me, it was just like, ugh, trains? Really? What the fuck can trains do? I've never even been on a fucking train.
They go places! That's what these people did. They were like, I don't fucking like trains. What do I do to... Okay.
We give them a train boner, and we make an awesome story behind the train boner.
There you go! Alright, first things first.
But no, I'm serious. I feel like this show is giving me an appreciation for trains. I wish what they did was they would, instead of doing like Russia 1 or Russia 2, they would actually give them names so I know how to identify, oh, yes, that's a bullet train, but it's this kind of bullet train. Or, yes, that's a steam engine, but it's this kind of a steam engine. Or, this make of a steam engine. I wish they would have gave them names that somewhat explained what kind of a train it is. Because for somebody who's not a train enthusiast, to me, they're just trains. It's red has an old train, and green and blue have new trains, and pink and yellow got the shaft because they have trains that look like the light rail system here. Like just boring boxcars.
I would have to speak to someone who knows something about trains to legitimize any of that. All I know is that the old train and the new train thing is true.
Yeah. I just think they missed an opportunity to not only entertain but to educate. Because that's the kind of way they sold it when they were talking about TokuTacoTomodachis it was a show for Sentai fans as well as train enthusiasts.
Well, they're using the ending part of the show for the educational purposes and showing trains.
But I can't read Japanese.
Well, sorry. This is a Japanese show. Yeah. Too bad.
But I want to learn about trains. No, yeah, overall I'm having fun with it. I'm really excited to see where it's going, and as excited as I was for Kyoruger, I feel like TokuTacoTomodachis has finally brought me back into the Sentai fandom. I was gone for a little bit after DARCAGE. Tried to watch Go Buster and failed. And then...
I think we all failed at Go Buster.
What was after Go Buster? Kyoruger?
Yes.
And honestly, I tried to watch Kyoto. I just never got around to it. I was just too busy. So maybe now that it's done, I'll just marathon it. But yeah, anyway, on to the reason why we call this show Mega Time. Power Rangers. Super
Force.
Sorry, I was gonna sing. I was gonna take your part. But it didn't work too well.
I forgot how they incorporated the super part into the theme song, but I know they did.
Did they?
I'm sure they have, right?
Power Rangers, Super Mega Force.
Not like that.
Yeah, it's perfect. I know, I was on the show.
Okay.
So, episode 3, right?
Yes.
Of Power Rangers Super Mega Force, Blue Saber Saga. Most of you will recognize this if you watched GoKaiger, because I would say about 60% of the episode was just reshoot.
Yeah.
It was a shot-for-shot remake.
Of the Joe episode. You guys remember
I like Noah, but he's not a Joe. I feel like Jake should have been Blue.
Well, you know, I can get behind that, because
it's just the attitude difference between Noah, and they're trying to make up for it with, like, his newfound attitude when he's training and stuff, but it feels so out of character for him. Because I always thought he, like, in Megaforce, he was kind of the strategical one. You know, he thought first, fought later.
But that's the thing. You remember when we first saw the Power Rangers in the first episode? We were like, he's not a nerd. Look how bulky he is. Mm-hmm. You know, that's why they picked him. Is because he looks strong. And he is strong. But he's also a good thinker and logical.
Mm-hmm. I just feel like the body language switch between Green Super or Jake and the Green Super Mega Force, or Doc from GoKaiger, and the body language difference between Noah and Joe from GoKaiger, it's so opposite end of the spectrum that it feels so uncomfortable. It doesn't feel like it's the same person. Which, I mean, obviously, no, it's not. Because we have suit actors and, you know, surf switch and stuff like that. But, you know, the whole spirit of Power Rangers is kind of that seamless adjustment from American footage to Japanese footage. And I just feel like the characters of GoKaiger, personality-wise, just don't match up with the Power Rangers team.
You know, actually, in this episode, I had more of a problem with Troy's trying to match up with his suit actor than anyone else's.
Really?
Yeah. Like, his lines sounded really funny. With the exception for his out-of-suit lines.
You mean where he actually showed a little bit of personality at the end?
At the end, he sounded perfect. I was sold. I was, like, in it.
It was crazy.
And he spoke, and I was like, shut up, I'm listening. Like,
it only took him 14 episodes to learn how to act.
And I would like to point out again that he was a model and only a model before Power Rangers cast him.
Was he really?
Yes.
I thought he was in... Oh no, I guess those were just pictures. Huh. I don't know. You'd think they'd give him some kind of coaching, at least.
Well, I'm sure
like,
they did, but...
Hey, smile.
Well, they have to direct, like...
That's the other part, too. Like, Noah, as much as I like him, he had, like, a weird sequence in that forest. In that random bamboo forest.
Random bamboo forest. Where does that exist, right?
So, when he's talking to Emma, and she's playing the I'm bit where she's supposed to be concerned and wants to help their team, blah, 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 whatever, and he kind of shrugs her off. He's like, oh, I understand, but I have to do this alone. Like, he gets intense with her to the point where she understands, and his body language, but his eyes during that scene were just so dead, and I don't know if that's just how he is or what, but there was, like, just no emotion in his eyes whatsoever. It was, it almost made me laugh. Because it was like he's trying to be super serious, but his eyes just look like doe eyes, like he wants to cry. And I'm just, what is wrong? Like, are you upset?
That's
you
his
sound
serious
angry.
face.
Like it seemed like that was his fucking Oscar moment. Like he was just in it, and he was gonna fucking get this emotion out, and he did, and it was so over the top. It's like it just came over as this glossed, I'm in internal pain right now kind of look in his eyes. I don't know. I thought it was funny. Because we're always giving Troy shit for his acting. I feel like Noah should get the exquisite acting award this week.
Pick on somebody this time.
But I mean, no. I mean, it was what it was. You know, I think we're all just kind of counting days at this point till the first legend comes back. You know, so we can all have a big group fangasm when that legend first comes back. So we're just kind of getting all of this obligatory story stuff out of the way.
What do you mean when you say first legend?
Like when the first past ranger comes back, which I think...
Oh, okay.
I think it's... If they're going by the Gokaiger... Well, no. See, this is the thing. This is the part where it breaks down, is because in Gokaiger, the legends came back when the Gokaigers needed to get the grand powers.
Mm-hmm.
But in Power Rangers, Gosei is just giving them grand powers. He's like, oh, you now unlocked blah blah blah.
Well,
oh,
okay.
You sneezed, you unlocked blah blah blah. Oh, congratulations, you wiped your ass back to front, blah blah blah. Here's a superpower. Like, it's just like he's just giving them out, and they're not even like earning them like they were in Gokaiger.
No, they're earning them, but it's just through the trials of what goes on in the episode. It's not as, fantastical as it was in Gokaiger. It doesn't make sense.
What I don't understand is, like, I understand when they have to cut out stuff because it doesn't make sense or it's not canon for Power Rangers. But the Magi Ranger episode could have worked for Power Rangers. There was Mystic Force. Mm-hmm. Unless they didn't get any of the Mystic Force people back, which I heard there was a huge conflict with some of the Disney actors that, they couldn't go back to Saban to be on the anniversary special. Whatever. I mean, that was all just a big-ass game of telephone.
What I was about to ask you was, let's start with what actors we know are coming back. Like, what Rangers we know we're getting.
As far as I know, I know a lot of Saban's Rangers are coming back. From the first, 6 seasons? Something like that. And the only Disney one that I know of that I've seen on set was the Red Jungle Fury Ranger. Mm-hmm. But that was only because they never said that if he was in the episode or he just came back as a writer, because he wrote some episodes for Super Mega Force.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he was just on set because he was a writer and they were shooting his episodes, or if he's coming back as whatever his name was in Jungle Fury. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's just it feels, for an anniversary season, it feels so rushed. Like, we're not really getting any kind of backstory whatsoever for anything. Like, we're supposed to believe that these guys have these deep connections with each other and that they care about each other and, they're BFFs for life and they're going to defend the world together and they're this growing team that just keeps getting stronger, but there is little to no backstory to support any of it.
They went through the entire first season.
Yeah, but even the first
just
season,
Megaforce.
They didn't really, connect on a personal level. It was, episode starts, there's a few shots in school of something random happening. The teacher doing funny lines or Noah being in the computer office or whatever, and then all of a sudden, Monster of the Week, Megazord, fight, Power Rangers, that's a super win, or whatever the fuck it's at.
Super mega win. I don't... well, no, that's only in this one. It's just a mega win.
Well, regardless of what the call sign was, it's just... everything just feels so rushed. Maybe that's just because they're trying to get to the legend stuff. and I'm just being overcritical.
I think you're just overly excited about the Legend stuff.
I am. I'm a nostalgia whore. That's what this whole... It's what the whole anniversary season was supposed to be about. And up until now, we've gone, half of the season without really getting anything in the way of an anniversary special. It's just been another season of Power Rangers.
Well, the way I'm looking at it is this first season was supposed to be forming the bond and getting everyone... like the children recognizing the Power Rangers. And then this is the second season. This is Super Megaforce. This is totally separate from the first one. Right now we've got the new powers, and we're getting used to these.
Yeah, but
now,
you can't say that they're completely separate, like they're two different entities, because they're not. It's season... It's Power Rangers Megaforce 1, and then Super Megaforce 1B.
Right.
They're not like two different shows.
No, I don't mean it like that. But this is, the second part. This is Act 2. And, they've got to get through the episodes where, you remember in GoKaiger, they had the theme episodes for each character. That's obligatory. That's what they do every season. And then after that, that's when all the anniversary stuff will start happening. Most likely.
And see, in GoKaiger, it was the opposite. All the anniversary shit happened at the beginning of the season. This way, towards the end of the season, they can start building the story. What's going on with the war, what's going on with the fucking Armada, what's going on with all this stuff. They have all their powers now, they have all their weapons. Now they have to win the war. And that's why GoKaiger was such a great episode, or such a great season, was because it flowed really well as long, with the story. At least in my opinion. And I just feel like Power Rangers is so disconnected. Things are just happening, but they're not really... There's no real weight behind them. So far it just feels like each episode is just an isolated incident. There's no overarching story to the whole thing. We keep getting flashbacks of the war, but nothing has really happened to connect the beginning of Megaforce with where we're at now.
Yeah, and what happened to Robo Knight?
I don't care.
That's make you laugh.
You notice that Troy didn't say a damn word about him this week?
Yeah. He's thinking about it. He cries about it every night.
I'm telling you, he's the Silver Ranger powers. He's gonna fucking take himself to a chop shop, and they're gonna make the Silver Ranger powers out of him. I
really do hope Robo Knight comes back in some shape or form, because if he doesn't, I'm gonna be really annoyed, because Troy spent an entire episode on the beach.
They just killed him and just left it. Like, no one's gonna suspect anything. We'll just push him under the rug. Robo Knight who? I don't know what you're... Silver Ranger!
Be so overwhelmed with all the anniversary stuff. Just, Robo Knight. He didn't... Whatever.
I'm still having fun.
He just wandered off.
I'm still having fun with Super Megaforce. It's still awesome to see the GoKaiger footage on American television. It's fun to see the anniversary build. I'm tired of fucking waiting. I want to see the war. I want to see all the climactic stuff from GoKaiger. I want to see it all happen. And it's taking so fucking long. Because now we have to fucking go through everybody's fucking episode. So the next 4 weeks are just going to be character episodes.
Well, it might not. I might be wrong. It might not be. I don't know. I don't
know how they're going to do Doc's story with Jake. Because remember, Doc was supposed to be like some superhero and shit.
Oh yeah.
Because he was an orphan or something.
Well, I mean, they changed Blues a lot. That was like his old friend, and that didn't have any
Well, of course they changed that because there was no backstory there. They didn't really change as much as they just removed.
Oh yeah, pretty much.
Because all this shit...
insert villain here.
That's why I'm saying, like, all this stuff keeps happening, but there's nothing connecting it. So it just all feels disconnected.
I mean, they choose what footage to use, but not the footage they have. You know, they don't exactly have a look-alike Joe or.
I know that's fine, like that. But they can reshoot some of that stuff. The problem is there was no story set up initially for them to even attempt to assimilate some of the stories from Gokaiger to use some of that footage. You know, there's nothing there. We know nothing about the Rangers' pasts. We know little to nothing about their bonds with each other. So having something like Joe's episode where it was his teacher, it wasn't his friend, it was the guy who taught him how to use a sword. You know, and that whole fight between him, that technique, and him trying to overcome that technique. Now you just have this episode of Power Rangers where it's just all of a sudden Noah's good at using swords. What happened? He used a gun last season. You know, how does this connect? All of a sudden he's brooding in a bamboo forest because he needs to take out this ancient alien samurai, but there's no explanation as to why the fuck it's him.
Yeah, it did seem kind of weird that the enemy picked him out in particular and was like, we're gonna duel on the beach. No, you guys don't come. Like, you remember that moment when he said that? You know, but it could sort of be attributed to how they were confronted originally with just him and Emma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just him and Emma. It's still, you're right, it doesn't quite make sense, but as we know with Power Rangers, it makes sense if you don't think about it, as you love to say.
I hope they're just building and saving all of their fucking story for the last bit of the season, where all of the old Rangers come back, the big war happens. Like, I'm hoping that it finishes on a high note. Because, like I said, I'm still having fun with it. I'm not gonna say that, you know, oh, this is stupid, Saban's ruining it, you know, it's the worst season I've ever seen. I'm not saying any of that. It's still fun. It's still a nostalgia fest. It's awesome to see the Gokaiger stuff. I just to put it in a very crude manner, they are giving me the tip when I want the entire thing. Like, stop teasing me and just give me all of it.
He wants the whole thing.
Stop teasing me, Saban. Stop teasing me. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, it was a pretty decent week for Sentai and Power Rangers. You know, I enjoyed TokuTacoTomodachis a little more than Super Mega Force. But what can you do, you know? Hopefully everything gets better.
I love them both. I really enjoyed Sentai this week. I still enjoyed Power Rangers this week. And, you know, really they're even, to be honest, but I think they're even because of this podcast. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a whole event that we get together and we watch and then we get on here and talk, and it's just all fun.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's what it's supposed to be. It's just supposed to be a good time. It's a show for kids. We're big-ass kids.
Hell yeah.
It's fun. But I still want more.
Imagination!
I don't know. I guess I'm nostalgic for Saban because that's what I grew up with, and when I was a kid, it felt so much bigger than it is now.
And Sentai is reminding you that you have to use your imagination for it to feel that way.
No.
Seriously.
No, because
that's what you had when you were little.
As bad and as campy and cheesy as MMPR and all those early seasons were, it was like a soap opera. It was like a soap opera for kids. You know, they had Monster of the Week. They had the weekly Megazord battles. But you really, cared for the Rangers. And you cared for these teenagers who would do anything to defend their city from these aliens.
What made you care?
It just, I don't know if it was just child ignorance or what, but I felt like the stories back then were so much better than what Saban's giving us now.
I should look into that.
You know, and honestly, I think it's because back then, Power Rangers wasn't the hot market item. You know, it wasn't the national toy chain that was selling millions of toys every year. In 93, 94, and 95, the first 3 seasons of MMPR, they were still trying to establish themselves as a show that can be what it is now. So it was about toy sales, but it was also about lasting a few more years. So I feel like everything came with a bit of desperation, you know, to kind of push that envelope and develop interesting stories that these kids can get engrossed in. And I don't feel like that's happening right now. I feel like right now they're just like, just throw this shit out there, we'll sell some toys, and we'll move on to the next season.
No, I think a lot of that has to do with their morph and stuff. Like, they don't have individual calls, and they don't have, you know how they do the morph with the hand motions?
Yeah.
I have no idea what that is. I know they have motions, but I'm not paying enough attention to them to care. Like, they don't make them they're not as prominent. Because it's just the key turn, and then whatever. Like, I don't know. Because the morph is so...
The other thing we have to get rid of is that fucking stupid scream after everything. It's morphing time, ha! You know, it's just... We get it. We fucking get it.
It's a charged, you know... It makes you feel good when you do that, though.
You know the random piece of Super Mega Force that made me feel nostalgic was the 2 bits in the intro where we see martial arts again. Like, all of the early Saban stuff was they were trained fighters. Mm-hmm. You know, they all trained in some kind of martial art.
The actor who plays Jake is.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's not as highlighted these days as it was back then. And I kind of wish they'd go back to that. Where they show them training, and they show them working out and all this other stuff. You know, it feels like it... Again, applying logic to a kid's show, it feels like it makes sense. Mm-hmm. You know, in that situation, you don't have somebody like Noah, who, for all intents and purposes, is a Billy type from the original season, who doesn't really know how to fight, is kind of a geek, and then all of a sudden, boom, he's a samurai master. There's just such a disconnect there that I feel like, I don't know. Because I know if I just keep talking, people are going to be like, well, it's a kid's show. It's a kid's show. You can't expect that from a kid's show.
That's why I'm here.
So I'm just like,
that's my job.
Point?
Don't take it from me, Internet.
What's the point, you know?
Oh, my bad. You didn't hear that.
I am a Power Rangers fan, and I have been a Power Rangers fan for the last 23 years.
You can't tell him how to be a fan.
I don't know. Like, I'm just so frustrated with Super Mega Force. With all of the recent seasons. They just feel so beige to me. If that makes sense.
It does. It makes sense.
I don't know. Just bring on the fucking Legend War.
Bring it on!
Hopefully next week is better. I don't know what next week's episode is called. I didn't see anything on it. So
I haven't either.
hopefully it's better. If you guys have an opinion, if you disagree with Shelby's opinion, because...
Hey!
I mean, come on. You can't disagree with me because I'm right.
What the hell?
I'm just kidding. I feel like I'm gonna get fucking screamed at in the comments. So I'm just trying to deflect.
Nobody's gonna scream at you.
If you guys have an opinion, please share with us. How did you guys feel about this episode? Did you guys like it? Did you not like it? Do you guys feel that weird disconnect between the American actors and the Japanese footage? Like, if they just swapped Noah and Jake, I'd feel a lot more comfortable with it.
I disagree.
What?
I do.
God, Noah just... I give up. Subscribe. Listen to our podcast. Alright, guys. Well, I'm Eric.
I'm Shelby.
And this has been CD's podcast. Like I said, just let us know what you guys thought. If you liked it, if you didn't like it. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. Post it in the comment section at the bottom. I'm getting out of here. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. Later.
Bye.